All right, everybody, and welcome to our March edition of the Personal Peace Procedure Free Community Tapping Circle with Amanda Wonderland. I'm Amanda Wonderland. I will be your guide today. The community voted on what our theme for today's tapping circle would be, and everyone voted on, a lot of people voted on conflict avoidance. So we'll be exploring this pattern that many of us carry in our nervous system. And for many of us, conflict wasn't just disagreement. It may have meant tension, raised voices, criticism, rejection, and in my case, emotional withdrawal. Oftentimes, whenever I disagreed with someone, they would withdraw their energy. And that's why my nervous system says, don't say it, just be quiet. It doesn't matter anyway. They're going to take away their love. This is safer just to stay quiet. So the nervous system learns something very intelligent. Avoid the conflict, avoid the danger. And this can show up, as it did for me, in staying quiet, people pleasing. Sometimes we over explain ourselves. Sometimes we just avoid the conversation altogether, or we replay the conversation on repeat in our minds over and over again. I see how this resonates with some people in the group right now. I definitely do. You just rehearse it, rehearse it, rehearse it over and over again. So these responses are not weakness, they are protective adaptations. And we're not trying to force ourselves to become confrontational people. Instead, we're just going to gently explore two things today. One is honoring the fear that our nervous system remembers. And two is expanding our capacity to stay present and speak honestly. So take a moment right now to think about a recent conflict or difficult conversation. Or perhaps it's one that you need to have sometime in the future. Tune into it and notice what happens in your body. Any tension, anxiety, shutdown, or hesitation, or something altogether different. And then give that intensity a number from 0 to 10. And while we do that, I'm just going to teach you a nice little nervous system regulating tool. It's called the finger holds. We have these beautiful acupressure points on either side of our nail beds, right at the bottom. And you can just pinch on either side. Take a nice big breath and then move on to the next. Take a nice big breath and then move on to the next. This is a really subtle way that you can regulate yourself in public too, without anyone knowing that you're activated or that anything's going on with you. And people are sharing in the live circle. There's a clenching in the gut. I know that somatic sensation. You may be having a different sensation. And for those of you that are here live, you can feel free to share it in the chat. We're a very interactive group here. I will be taking the time to use your exact words to roll into an entire round. So let us know what's coming up for you. We're just letting the body know that it's okay. In this moment, we can stay present, even though we're feeling all of these sensations. Tightness in the chest, feeling small. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing these things. I know that other people are going to feel seen when they read that as well. They won't like me and I will be judged. Feeling anxious, trouble swallowing, tension in my solar plexus, tightness in the throat, a closing down. Isn't that appropriate? Pull away, flatten, and pain in the shoulder blades. What did I do this time? Beautiful. Thank you guys so much for sharing. Afraid of getting yelled at. Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get started. Taking full responsibility for your own well-being, we will start by tapping on the side of the hand. Relaxing the tongue on the floor of the mouth and focusing on sending your breath to the deepest part of your lungs. Good. Even though conflict can feel uncomfortable or activating in my body. I'm simply noticing how my system responds. And then we'll move to the top of the head. Sometimes conflict feels like danger. And to the eyebrow, my body learned to brace for it. Side of the eye, maybe to stay quiet. Under the eye, maybe to smooth things over. Under the nose, maybe to avoid the conversation entirely. Under the mouth, my nervous system trying to protect me. Collarbone, trying to keep the peace. And under the arm, trying to prevent something from escalating. And we'll move back to the side of the hand. We'll just be doing one setup statement per round today. So just tuning in between each round. And we'll spin this next round acknowledging the memory of your nervous system. So we'll say, even though my body learned these responses somewhere along the way, I'm acknowledging that this pattern had a purpose. Good. And then moving to the top of the head, my nervous system remembers past conflicts. Eyebrow, moments when things didn't feel safe. Side of the eye, maybe arguments. Under the eye, maybe criticism. Under the nose, maybe tension in the air. Under the mouth, maybe feeling misunderstood. Collarbone. So avoiding conflict became the safer option. And under the arm, and my system got very good at that. Coming back to the side of the hand with a nice gentle breath. We'll take a round just to honor this protection in your nervous system. Even though conflict avoidance can sometimes frustrate me, I'm recognizing that this pattern developed to protect me. Top of the head. Avoiding conflict helped me survive certain situations. Eyebrow. It helped me stay connected. Side of the eye. Or avoid punishment. As someone said, what did I do now? Under the eye, or prevent escalation. Under the nose, it kept things calmer. Under the mouth, or at least more predictable. Collarbone. My system was doing the best it could. Under the arm, with what it knew at the time. And back to the side of the hand, taking a nice breath here. And we'll just recognize the cost of staying silent. Even though this pattern helped protect me, I'm noticing how it sometimes affects me now. Good. Top of the head. Sometimes I keep things in. Eyebrow, even when something matters to me. Side of the eye. I might stay quiet. Under the eye. Or say yes when I mean no. Under the nose. Or avoid the conversation entirely. Under the mouth, and then replay it later in my head. Collarbone. Thinking of what I wish I had said. That one really resonates with me. This is the different experience we're hoping for at the end of today's session, that we don't have to think about what we wish we had said, that we can feel safe and present enough to actually say it in the moment. And then we'll go under the arm. This part of me wanting to express myself. Good. And then we'll move back to the side of the hand. And here we're just going to acknowledge the fear underneath all of these patterns. And then we'll move into using your exact words to acknowledge your own fear. So even though speaking up can feel risky in my body, I'm acknowledging the fear that comes with conflict. Good. Top of the head. What if they get upset? Eyebrow. What if I'm misunderstood? Side of the eye. What if it damages the relationship? Under the eye. What if the conversation escalates? Under the nose. My nervous system remembers when that happened before. Under the mouth. So it tries to prevent it. Collarbone. By staying quiet. Under the arm and avoiding conflict altogether. And we'll move back to the side of the hand. And now I would love for you to think about what you are most afraid of when it comes to potential conflict. What is your biggest fear when you think about having this conversation, either in the past or in the future? And how did you learn that fear? And we'll just take a moment here to check in with the chat. I'm afraid of getting yelled at. Conflict in my childhood always meant physical danger, not just emotional danger. And I'm just rubbing my sore spot here while we read these. You guys can tap on the side of the hand. For those of you that prefer to rub your sore spot, it's just that little area in between your heart and your armpit. So it's a really nice place to help regulate yourself. So we're afraid of physical danger, not just emotional danger. We're afraid of being dismissed for what we have to say, preventing injury, being abandoned. They don't understand. Comes from parents not listening, just judging, being told I'm wrong, being told I'm too sensitive, being targeted as the scapegoat, being punished and beaten or kicked out on the spot. Absolutely. These are all the things that lead us to avoid conflict and that our body still thinks is happening in the present moment. So let's just take a round to honor everything that's coming up for everyone in the live circle today. We're going to say, even though I'm afraid they won't like me, they may judge me. I remember that happening and it didn't feel good. And I'm open to a new experience today. Even though it's been this way in the past. And I learned this fear when I was very young. I know that that was then, and this is now, and I'm a different person. And these are different people, and I'm open to a new experience. Even though I am afraid of getting yelled at. I don't like it when people raise their voice at me. I'm open to finding my own steady calm, regardless of the circumstances around me. Good. We'll do one more setup statement here. Even though I'm afraid they're just going to dismiss me and what I have to say, I choose to show up differently. It's time for me to honor my voice and for it to be heard. Good. Top of the head. Maybe I was injured. Eyebrow. Maybe I was abandoned. Side of the eye. Maybe I was shamed. Under the eye. They're not going to understand me anyway. Under the nose. They don't even listen, they just judge. Under the mouth. Maybe they'll tell me I'm wrong. Collarbone. Maybe they'll tell me I'm too sensitive. Under the arm. Maybe they'll target me as the scapegoat. Good. And let's go to the wrist points here. I'm afraid I will feel unloved. Switch sides. By the one person who I so wanted to be loved by. Good. Let's go to the side of the hand. And even though there have been scary consequences for using my voice, I honor my experience and I choose to see things from a different perspective here today. Nice cleansing breath. Place the hands on the heart. We did some pretty steady rounds there. So I'd love for you to just check in. This is why we always have our drink here. We can stretch it out. We can move the body in whatever way feels most respectful and honoring of your experience. And then just tuning in to what's coming up for you right now. And feel free to share in the chat. There's a lot of heavy stuff there that some people shared, a lot of heavy stuff that we've all been through. I think a lot of us can identify with being told we're wrong or we're too sensitive or getting yelled at. None of us like those reactions, and it makes perfect sense that we haven't wanted to speak up for ourselves. So let me know how you're feeling now. Good. Went from a 6 to a 2 or a 3. Kept reminding myself that I have coping tools now. Exactly. When we were kids and we got yelled at, it went totally internal because we couldn't possibly believe there was something wrong with our parents. They were our safe zone. So we had to blame ourselves. It must have been me. I'm not good enough. We've gone from a 6 to an 8 for someone. So I invite you to go to your 9 gamut point on the back of your hand in between your ring finger bone and your pinky bone and just tap there and then side of the hand. Back to the 9 gamut, triple warmer, and side of the hand. Just keeping your body here in the present moment in this group with us. Yes, good point. Thank you for bringing that up. It seems to me that discretion is needed when being willing to confront conflict. Sometimes the price is too high. Sometimes things really need to be said. Exactly. And I think that's a really wonderful bit of wisdom that you gain from doing a lot of this work. Is it that important that they know what my opinion is on this? I don't really need to share that with everyone. It's not my job to convince them that I'm right. It's not their job to convince me that I'm right. Those things, absolutely. Avoid the conflict. It doesn't need to be said. I think when we're young and we're not totally sure of our beliefs or our values or how we're feeling, we feel like we need to share it with everyone and everyone needs to validate it because our belief system foundation is so wobbly. But when it comes to setting boundaries, being heard, having a voice, being honored and respected, not having to repeat yourself over and over and over again, those are the times it's worth taking a risk, finding the courage so you can have a different experience. It feels like parts of me are finally coming out of hiding. Yay! I'm so happy to hear that from a 6-7 down to a 1-2. A relationship with my brother means more to me than to him. And he has his own wounds. They're not mine. Good. Okay. All right. Yeah. So sometimes, as we said, you've got to use choice and discretion on what it is that's worthwhile to share. From a 5-6 to a 1-2 and planning a conversation with my sister. Okay, good. So we are going to do a little bit of visualization with that. And so for the one whose SUD went up, I want you to just stay really present with us right now because we're going to continue working on that just a little bit. Thinking about what it is you're most afraid of and allowing yourself to choose to create safety in the present, even though you're afraid. So we'll go straight back to the side of the hand. And we'll say, even though my nervous system still expects conflict to feel dangerous, I'm noticing that this moment right now is safe enough. Good. Pardon me, I'm moving some energy. You may hear a little bit of a belch. If you belch on your end of the screen, good for you. If you yawn, if you sneeze, if you laugh, if you cry, all of those are good movements of energy. So really embrace those belches and yawns for sure. On the top of the head, we're going to say right now, I'm just tapping. Good. And then eyebrow, just breathing. Side of the eye. My body might still expect danger. Under the eye. But I'm gently reminding it. Under the nose. That not every conversation is the same. Under the mouth. Not every disagreement leads to harm. Collarbone. Some conversations can be calm. Under the arm. And some conflicts can be handled with care. Good. Good. Let's move back to the side of the hand, taking a gentle breath and just checking in. When I know that I have a difficult conversation coming up, I find it really helpful to do a surrogate tapping. So I will say all the things that I want to say to this person unfiltered. So let's give it a little try. I'm just going to say my words. You can say your words. Let's pretend that there's no consequence and you can just completely use your voice. And I feel like in doing that while we're regulating the nervous system, it allows all the blood to return to our prefrontal cortex so we can actually have a calm um, and productive conversation. So we're just going to give it a shot. Here you are again, not listening to me. Top of the head. I really hate it when I have to repeat myself. Eyebrow. It's been like this as long as I can remember. Like, in your head, you get really exaggerative, really catastrophizing, it's all or nothing. Let that out. Side of the eye. I'm so tired of having this conversation. Under the eye. I hate that you make me repeat myself. Under the nose. Putting your own words in here. What is it you wish you could say if there were no consequences? You don't have to be spiritual. You don't even have to be fully conscious when you think of this. Can't believe I have to say it again. God, so frustrating. I wish you would just listen to me the first time so I don't have to say it over and over again. So just know this is a really good tool for you to get all of that out before you actually have the conversation. And then we'll move back to the side of the hand. And then once all of that is out, I highly recommend learning helpful communication skills. So for me, nonviolent communication with Marshall Rosenberg has been really helpful. It allows you to communicate how you feel without having the person be on the defensive. So it would sound like this. You would say, I'm feeling frustrated because my need to be heard and honored is not being met. Would you be willing to sit down with me and really listen to what I'm saying and maybe even mirror back to me what you're hearing so that we can both be on the same page? See how kind and compassionate and non-violent, non-offensive, non-aggressive it is. It's you taking responsibility for how you feel because a need of yours wasn't met. And you're just asking them, would you be willing to do this? It's a really wonderful formula for getting your message across. Okay. So now, as we talked about before, we're going to spend some time expanding our capacity in our nervous system to sit with this discomfort. Just want to check in. Looks like some guys are taking down some notes. Good. All right. Nonviolent communication with Marshall Rosenberg, in case you wanted to hear that one again. All right. Side of the hand. Even though speaking up might still feel uncomfortable, I'm allowing the possibility that my system can learn something new. Good. And we'll go to the top of the head. Maybe I can go slowly. Eyebrow, one honest sentence at a time. Side of the eye, learning to stay present. Under the eye, even when my body feels nervous. Under the nose, courage doesn't always feel calm. Under the mouth, sometimes courage feels shaky. Collarbone, but still speaking. Under the arm, still showing up. Side of the hand, nice big breath. honoring the courage that it will take for you to have this conversation, even though you've had past experiences that may create some fear. Feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Even though part of me still wants to avoid conflict, another part of me is learning that my voice matters. Top of the head, my perspective matters. Eyebrow, my needs matter. Side of the eye, my boundaries matter. Under the eye, even if someone disagrees. Under the nose, even if the conversation feels uncomfortable. Under the mouth, I can learn to stay connected to myself. Collarbone, even inside difficult conversations. Yeah, all parts of me matter. Under the arm, I'm allowing my voice to exist in the room. Good. And let's go back to the side of the hand for a little final integration round here. Even though my nervous system learned conflict avoidance for a reason, I'm allowing a little more courage and possibility now. Good. Top of the head, honoring the protection that helped me survive. Eyebrow, thanking my nervous system for trying to keep me safe. Side of the eye, and gently expanding what feels possible. Under the eye, a little more honesty. Under the nose, a little more presence. Under the mouth, a little more courage. Collarbone, one conversation at a time. Under the arm, allowing my voice to exist. Good. Now bring your hands to your heart and take a slow breath. Notice your body again and check your number from earlier. You might feel calmer, clearer, more spacious, or simply more aware. And feel free to share in the chat what's happening for you. Good, a 7 to a 2. Very nice. Checking in here. Yeah, that's a really nice shift here. Maybe it's time to just walk away, set this down, accept that there's nothing I can do to get a different outcome. Oftentimes, you might just find that you're in a different frequency than the people from your past, and it may not be a worthwhile relationship to take into your future. It's not always the case, but in some cases it is, as it was with this person who's here live. Someone sharing that they have their clients write all the things they want to say in a letter that they don't send to anyone just to get their feelings out, and then learn I statements to express what they really need to say in a helpful and calm manner. Exactly. Just like the surrogate tapping. Get it all out and then learn how to take responsibility for your feelings, your needs, and your requests of the other person. Much more space from a 6 to a 0. Beautiful, more present to myself. Awesome. I love it. All right. So, as I said, we are going to have a little thought experiment and let's just see how this feels. So, we're going to play pretend and explore this further by giving your nervous system a small opportunity to experience something new in a future imagined event. So, let's think of something. You don't have to choose a big conflict, just a simple moment where you normally might stay quiet. A moment where you wish you would have said something, you wish you could say something in the future. And imagine that happening as you take a slow breath. And if it feels comfortable for you, you might even close your eyes right now. Imagine yourself in a conversation where something matters to you. Maybe someone says something you don't fully agree with. Maybe a request is made that doesn't feel quite right. Maybe something small inside you wants to respond. Notice your body in that imagined moment now, and notice if there's any familiar tension, any urge to stay quiet, any hesitation, and simply acknowledge it. Your nervous system is remembering old experiences. Take a full breath here. And now imagine something slightly different happening. Instead of shutting down or avoiding the moment, you stay just a little bit more present. You feel your feet on the ground. You notice your breath. Your voice doesn't have to be perfect. Your body might still feel a little nervous. And you gently say one honest sentence. Maybe something like, I see that a little differently. Or I need some time to think about that. Or that doesn't quite work for me. Or I'd like to share my perspective. Notice what it feels like to say that one honest sentence, whatever yours is. And you don't have to imagine the other person reacting perfectly. You're talking to a human. That's not going to happen. The important part is you staying connected to yourself, your nervous system experiencing something new, speaking honestly while still being present, and honoring exactly what your truth is in this moment. Take a gentle breath and notice your body. And each time you practice moments like this, your nervous system learns that expression doesn't always lead to danger. Sometimes it leads to clarity. Sometimes it even leads to a deeper connection. I love it when I'm surprised in that way. I think it might lead to a rupture, but it actually leads to deeper, more loving truth between me and whomever I'm speaking with. Sometimes it simply leads to self-respect, and that's enough. So take one more slow breath, and when you're ready, gently bring your awareness back into the room and notice how high, we're going to call it an SUC scale, is your subjective unit of courage today. How high is your subjective unit of courage? 9. Beautiful. Someone sharing they may just need to let it go between this person as well. I see that also as a very courageous step. Letting go is a huge courageous step. 9, 9, 7, beautiful. I'm more aware. It may be that they will never know how much their lack of awareness is not my problem. They may never change. You're right. It is not your problem. Got a 5 subjective unit of courage, a 7 subjective unit of courage. Beautiful, guys. You've done some really powerful work here, moving that energy and expanding your nervous system capacity. That's the goal in the end. So thank you so much for joining me this month. We will see you again in April. And until then, keep tapping and stay well.